Hi Starseeds, this is Oriah, and I'm here to cover a topic that is a popular topic. A lot of people like to discuss this, but it is a topic that's hard to discuss because it's dealing with dark energies. I have a Facebook group called Starseed Connections that I founded just 10 days ago, and it's doing very well with people who have a lot of questions about all things related to spiritual awakening, starseeds' origins, where we come from as human beings here on the planet, what's our purpose, any kind of questions regarding life itself, especially interstellar, off-planet, and all things alien. So pull up a chair. Today's topic is going to be long. I'm going to definitely split this up into two parts because my story starts at my childhood, and not only do I have a lot to say on what I personally have experienced, but then I want to share with you my belief system as well. Without further ado, we will begin. And I'd like to first tell you exactly what it is we're going to be speaking about today. We are going to be talking about dark entities, dark energy attachments, demon possession, dangerous and dark aliens, dark matter energy phenomenon, paranormal entities that are dark, and the such. So it is a large topic, but I can condense it because my beliefs, and it's my own personal beliefs, are kind of encapsulating the majority of these categories together, so you'll be able to easily understand. But first, I have to give you my personal experience. So I grew up in a church that was considered a cult, and it was taken to court many times. They are proud to say that they always won to prove that they are not a cult, but by all standards, they acted like and addressed their patrons, and the way they handled themselves was very much like a cult. So it was a combination of Chinese mysticism, Christianity, Jehovah's Witness, with a little bit of Mormon and Pentecostal and Baptist all together. So smush those all together. So take the best of all of those and some of the worst of those religions. And so I was indoctrinated into this. Actually, I was born into this religion, and I was excommunicated at 16 because I started questioning the elders. They were always looking at life from contrasting points of view. They would say things like, you are either with Christ or against us. You are with us or against us. Beside the fact that there was all sorts of weird things, like I'm not allowed to celebrate my birthday ever because that shows that I'm better than the next, person. So we're all equal brothers and sisters. And if you select one person to celebrate their birthday, that is saying that there's something special about that person. When you're all together as one body of Christ, there is no separation. So they kind of took it to an extreme level. I wasn't allowed to wear hair and makeup and nail polish, celebrate any holidays, especially any pagan holidays like Christmas and Halloween. So you can imagine what that childhood was like. And no television or movies, because that's considered also pagan. That's considered mainstream secular and full of demons, basically. So I was raised with the idea that demons were very real. So when I was a little girl, I would have nightmares and different things that little kids have, and I would sort of see things in the corner of the room or something like a shadow, and I would immediately think it's demons. And you're definitely not, like if you're at a friend's house and you're watching a scary movie, they taught us that we could possibly inhabit those demons from the movie itself. So whenever anybody would turn on a movie, I would start screaming and crying because I was so terrified for the people that were about to watch it, because I felt that they were going to become demon possessed. we held exorcisms on a regular basis. And of course, I'm always, you know, the bystander, the witness. I'm young, so I'm learning and watching all these people older than me and these elders do these things. But they had regular exorcisms where they would, you know, pray to God to like enchant to get these demons out of people. And, you know, we did baptisms door to door. We would knock door to door, and we would take people and put them in their bathtubs and do like a saving grace type of like baptism with water. The Christian part of it would be, you know, taking care of that. A lot of prayer reading, phone calls at 6 a.m. in the morning before school with my prayer group. We had to eat the body of Christ and review all the verses. And I've read the Bible like 2 or 3 times and from front to back, and memorized hundreds of verses. So I was fully indoctrinated. And I really believed in demons. So keep in mind, you are in good hands talking about dark energies, because I spent most of my life understanding what they were and finally getting a full, complete picture of what is going on. Number one, is there such a thing as demons? So yes, there is such a thing as demons. I don't know if they are as scary and as big and as grotesque as the fantasy storylines and books and illustrations and movies and cartoons and whatever that you see. I don't know if that's how fantastical they are. Could they be dark energies within alien beings? Absolutely. I have myself seen manifestations of that. Whether it's my imagination or I'm seeing interdimensionally, I have seen things like that. So yes, that exists. Does dark energies exist in general? Yes, dark energies exist. Energies are either trying to scare you or they are themselves just coming from this lower vibration. Are there dark aliens? Is there scary paranormal experiences? Yes, there are. And there are hauntings. And yes, those are real. I've experienced those as well. Being married to a psychic medium, I've been in homes and I've been in old ancient buildings where I have felt and seen energies, dark energies. And I've also many times have seen things fall off walls and move and hear a lot of commotion going on upstairs in the attic that's very empty, that has, you know, souls that are not at rest. So I have a lot of experience in this area. I have seen, felt, I've experienced, I've hosted, I've been around it. I've been around this conversation. Now I would like to take a bunch of steps back, and I want to go into, well, if they're real, how do I not attract them, have them be attached to me? How do I not have them bother me or my loved ones? How do I protect myself? So I'm going to answer that question in stages. The first stage is there is your basic ceremony that you can do that actually does help cleanse the air in the energy around you and in the home. And I'll show you how to do that. Also, that is just stage 1. So that's just to give you comfort, and it does send an intention out. So that does actually help. Number 2, you will definitely have to take some time to review your notes, and you have to go within your being to understand what storylines, what beliefs, and where you're coming from leads you. So in other words, you have to see what you're doing to attract these energies, believe it or not. Yes, it could be generational. Yes, it could be in grandmother's home and it's passed down to you. Yes, it could go from family to family, these energies. So ceremony is important because it does set up an intention, which is the most important part of it. Now, whether you use sage or you do a house cleansing with sage or candles and oils and essences, crystals, whatever you want to do, and you can do them all, and they're all really good. It's really how you're doing it and who you're being while you're doing it that makes the difference. So it's your intentionality, it's how serious you are, it's where your intention is, your heart, and how you are taking ownership of your house and you're bringing love energy into your space or someone else's space. So that is a huge component. But where I want to spend most of my time is I want to talk about belief systems. I want to talk about how you feel when you're scared. So don't just say, well, I'm scared, that's how I feel. No, we're going to go deeper than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at exactly what you're afraid of and why. Where did this fear come from? Why are you hosting it? Why are you entertaining it? What are you getting out of it? How long do you need to continue with it? What is the final end result in the way you're feeling? Do you have a victim story running or some kind of story that leaves you susceptible, wide open, powerless, and helpless? Is there a storyline that you created or passed down generationally? And you have a lot of evidence, obviously, to back that up. So I'm not saying it's not legit. If you feel insecure about your life, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist and your life is feeling very secure. What I'm saying is your belief system and how you feel about that is everything. Let's go a little further back to your belief system. So you have belief systems. Now, how you find your belief system, your core beliefs, is you see how you are operating through your day-to-day life, and you're seeing how you are engaging with other people, how you're talking to yourself, and how you are feeling in general. If you have despair, anger, upset, any kind of negative vibration around you, or you are manifesting, you're definitely sending out a vibration. You can create and manifest illusions and different sorts of they're manifestations that exist, but they exist because you put them there. You can work yourself up into a frenzy to the point where you can start to create like a host of dark energies to come after you. And basically all you're doing is you are playing God, essentially, in your own world, and you're creating these experiences that you are going to have to then either be scared and hide, or be scared and stand up and face them, or be scared and become a warrior of light and protect yourself, or be scared and become the savior. So you are setting up the game and you are going to play the game, and it is your game, and it is going to go from beginning, middle to the end. So it's up to you to decide, number one, are you the creator of this event? Number two, do you have any kind of plan? What's your plan? Do you just want to entertain it? Do you just like being scared? Do you want to be scared for long periods of time? Do you want to, I hate to say it, but get off on being scared? And also, do you want to end it? The reason I have to be this bold, the reason I have to talk like this and say it like this, is because I've been in these places and in these spaces where I have created very fearful scenarios. Never mind the ones with real human beings. I've had plenty of those. But I want to just talk about dark entities and energies. I would spook myself to no end, and these things were real to me. Now, there is a distinction between, did I create these events? Did I create a manifestation of something dark and scary in my home? Or am I engaging with an actual dark energy? Or is it just my guides and my teachers scaring me to get my attention, because that's the only way I will listen? Because I come from, my baseline is fear. So you have to really understand, this is a very wide spectrum of how to see this. So it may sound a little crazy at first when you hear me, but if you don't believe what I'm saying and you find an easier solution, I hope it works. And if it doesn't, come back to this video again and again and review it, because what I'm saying to you is core transformation. You're going to the center, to the core of your being, your belief systems, on where you are coming from. So if you are upset and scared, you will attract anything within that frequency. Anything within that realm, you will attract. And you're not going to like it. So if you really, really, really don't like it, then you will do something about it, right? So what you do is you put an end to it. And if you put an end to it, it is a place within you where you rise and put your foot down and say, enough is enough. I'm not doing this anymore. If you don't feel like you have the power to do that yet, and you feel like you can't believe in yourself enough to do that, some people have beautiful statues and beautiful iconic images of their spirit guides and angels and people around them that actually helps them to feel better. For example, this beautiful statue that my husband brought home from Egypt, I absolutely love it. And I leave it by my bedside, but I leave it by my bedside because I'm celebrating the fact that I feel like I'm her. So it's a totally different stage I'm in. But there was a time where I would have put these statues and I would have put pictures in my house, in my bedroom, in my car, just to help me, quote unquote, ward off evil, right? So, but that was a stage, because then that kind of made me feel like there was really evil and I really had to ward it off and I really had to protect myself. So I had to be very careful and make sure I have the right statues and the right guides and the right angels to help me. That's definitely the beginning stages of understanding how this works. So fear and psychic phenomenon with dark energy is a match. Those two things always go together. So you would say, well, of course, I'm scared of the dark entities. Our dark entities come first, and out of nowhere, I'm now scared. Right, it does seem like that, right? It feels like it's there first, and then you get scared. But what you will find amazing is that if you're in a room with a couple people and that event occurs, maybe, just maybe, there will be one person in the group that's not afraid. Do you find that interesting? So not everybody would be afraid of the dark energy or entity. So in this case, I would probably be one of those people who would understand the connection that's going on and then immediately look to the people I'm with to see who is creating this. That's even if I even see it, because I'm not coming from that place. So I'm not looking for those things. So I'm not going to attract those things. Now, in the very, very beginning, when you're first starting out and you're trying healing modalities and you're getting out of religion and going into more esoteric teachings and learning more about star seeds, you'll probably be working with healers and Reiki masters and people with a lot of different modalities, and which open you up psychically and emotionally to what some people say good energy and bad energy, right? So you're receiving your healing, you're receiving this good energy, you're wide open and vulnerable, and boom, you get attacked, right? And you have a dark energy attack you, so to speak. We got to look at that a little closer. So actually what's really happening is that you have a belief that you're open for an attack. You may not be consciously aware of that. You may not think that that's what you're doing. You may think you're laying yourself wide open and vulnerable so you can receive a healing. But 9 times out of 10, if you are in that position receiving a healing, it's because you are having an issue somewhere and there is some area that you are uncomfortable in your life. That's why you're doing it. So when you are going into a place within you that is scary already to begin with, and you feel vulnerable, you are going to feel that you are susceptible to outside energies. Now, let's say you have gone this far and this has happened to you. The next thing you do is maybe you might receive or feel dark or negative feelings. Now, instead of thinking it's you creating it, you're immediately going to think it's an outside force. So because we are creators, what happens next? We create an outside force energy, whether it already exists and we're calling it towards us, or we create it from scratch. Either way, you're open for that dialogue. You're open for that interaction. You're open for the connection to occur. Have I laid hands on people and helped them and pulled out dark energies? Have I gone into homes, me personally? Have I gone into homes as a shaman and helped people to remove dark energies from their house? Yes, yes, and yes. I absolutely have done this. I have seen with my naked eyes people's whole faces change. I have seen many supernatural things where I am very clear there's dark energy here. But what I am mostly clear about is the person I'm dealing with or talking to is engaging in these conversations internally with themselves and their external environment. You're creating this, it's like an aroma that comes off of you. You are creating a reverberating, vibrating, energetic frequency that tells people, others like human beings, and energies like paranormal activities or aliens or, dark manifestations that you have created. It sets up the stage for those things to come to you. Now, as you're listening to this, you may say, oh no, this is me. Now what do I do? I'm creating this. Oh great. Now it gets worse because I don't know how to stop it. Don't despair. It's okay. At first glance, if you could at least receive this part of the information, you're doing really good. So don't worry. It's what happens next. So when you start to go into yourself to take responsibility and accountability, don't beat up on yourself. Don't get mad at yourself. That's not the line of thinking, because that adds more drama, but it adds more pain and suffering, and it's more of a negative vibration, right? So what you do is, if you need to do, always I say, if you need to do ceremony first. Ceremony of any kind, altars, ceremonies, meditations, yoga, anything you can do to bring in ceremony, do it. Okay, I'm a huge believer of that, especially if you're in the early stages wanting to get control of your being without being mean or hard on yourself, because you're just making it worse. It's like beating a scared child. So we don't want to do that, right? So you go to ceremony because ceremony can help slow the process down of what you've been doing and get you to recalibrate and rethink about how you're doing things. So ceremony is always good. But then you go into your beliefs. You go into your beliefs. So you have to ask yourself, well, what do I really believe? So do you believe that vulnerability means weakness? Do you believe that vulnerability means that you're exposed wide open to all the sharks and everyone's going to eat you from Earth and outer space? Do you believe that you are susceptible to dark energies and so therefore you are cursed, and it comes from a family lineage and it also comes from your own imagination, so now you're doomed? Guess what? That's a belief. And so that belief is going to hold it in place. And if you add another belief to that called, oh, great, now I'm going to hold that in place, I'm just going to be sarcastic now and bury myself even deeper. So then you're just going to have this one-man show. It's just going to be a dramatic show of you burying yourself into the ground, deeper and deeper and deeper into a well. And then somewhere, somehow, someone's going to have to come get you out, if you make it out, because it gets super scary in there. Okay, once you're in this hole of disbelief, believing you don't create your reality, you believe you're a victim to your circumstances, you believe that all things are happening to you and you're not doing anything to create that, you believe that you are vulnerable and susceptible to all negative energies and all negative feelings and you can't help it and you're just a loving being, and why doesn't everybody just leave me alone and see that I'm okay? But ultimately you're under a bed hiding, or in a closet hiding, terrified and scared to come out. Now you can say that you have tons of evidence that the world and the universe is a scary place and you should definitely be hiding, right? But guess what? How are there so many of us not hiding? How are we out here? Have that ever crossed your mind? To ask the people who are no longer hiding, hey, how come you guys are out? But the reason why nobody asks, in all of my years of working as a shaman, no one, maybe a handful of people have asked me, so Oriah, how are you out and not afraid? Let me tell you, when that question is asked to me, I want to throw a freaking party, because that's my opportunity to explain exactly what happened. And not only that, it's an opportunity for me to see that the person is starting to align themselves to the idea that there is a possibility of moving out of this. So as soon as I see that, and that line of thinking of like, I wonder why not everybody is scared. As soon as you start to think that, you're one step out of this hole. That's important. When you start asking questions about why others are not afraid. So right up until now, you might be one of those people that are thinking, well, everybody around me is afraid and I'm afraid, so therefore we're all doomed, right? Okay, but guess what? You're watching this video and I'm not afraid. And I'm telling you I'm not afraid in many different ways, in talking about many different areas, and everything is scary and dark. And yes, I've been through a ton of domestic violence and abuse and violence and addiction and husbands and children and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not saying that I haven't been through all the life experiences, okay? And add death to that. So and health problems, I can go on and on. Am I afraid? No, I'm not afraid. And why is it that I'm not afraid? Because I realized a big, giant realization. I realized I was creating my reality. Now, whether you need to do a sacred medicine journey to get this information, whether you need to sit with a shaman, a psychic, a friend, a healer, maybe you just need to comment on the post below. Maybe you just need to sit with yourself in silence. Maybe you need to look on YouTube to other meditation videos. Whatever you got to do, you stop and pay attention to what you're creating. That's step number one. So you go in and you review, what am I creating? Where is my thinking pattern? What am I saying to myself? What are the daily conversations that I'm having? Just like you eat food, what's the daily intake of your food? Is it all junk food? Is it healthy? What are you eating? What are you consuming on a day-to-day basis? You have to review and look at yourself from that point of view. You have to see, what am I internalizing to myself? What frame of thinking and thoughts am I having on a regular basis that is telling me what my environment is like, that's telling me who I am? What is the conversation internally? Now, you may have to write it down. You may have to sit there and spend a few days and write down lists and lists and lists of your thinking pattern, what you're thinking about. When I first did my first list, it was like 30 things I thought about all day long in repetition, and they were all negative. It was all bad. Okay, so guess what? How are you supposed to enjoy your life? How are you supposed to have a good experience? How are you supposed to enjoy what's out there in the world? Well, you can't. All that's going to happen is you are just going to blame and be mad that they didn't do it right. And then you have more evidence to say why you are hiding in the first place, and you're not going to come out. Even especially if you were a child when any abuse or bad things happened, then you really don't have a reason to come out, right? Because everybody's really bad and scary. And then now you're in your 30s and 40s and you go have a Reiki session or a healing session and you complain you got a dark attachment to your system, to your body, and now you have all these really crazy negative thoughts and really crazy negative things happening. You go find a shaman does chants over you, you do medicine journeys, you sage yourself, you do all these things, you raise your vibration just enough that you start to feel better, and boom, you're free, right? And it's gone. Have you ever considered that it's because you raised your vibration? Have you ever considered it's because like you shook it off? You shook it off. You're the one that said, I'm done. I'm good now. Now, maybe all you needed to see was that person working with you. And that's what you needed to see, that someone cared enough. When I first started to get healing work done, my husband, who was a shaman at the time working on me, the first thing that I noticed was, wow, he's taking a lot of time with me. That's the thing I always am so fascinated with teachers, is how much time they spent talking to you and explaining things. And the more they take the time and explain, and the more they spend time with you, you feel like you're being taken care of, and you don't feel like you're just being given the short end of the stick and you have to go out in the world and just figure it out. So I always started to feel much better working with healers, because they take their time and they really go in and they're not put off by any of your antics, and they have plenty of patience, and they'll listen and they'll hold your hand and they'll walk you through all of it. And like, nobody does that, right? No parents hardly do that. Maybe some parents do that. Definitely school teachers don't do that when we were growing up, right? You just get your schoolwork and you have a couple mentors and some inspirational teachers. But other than that, it's hard to find someone who's going to sit there. Maybe a best friend will sit there, but they may not always have the right words. But somebody who sits with you and explains everything until you feel better, or does a ceremony on you or around you, and then you feel better. That's very important. And if you need that, you should seek that out 100%, because that's what you're looking for. What you need is solace and you feel good that someone's taking their time to take care of you. In my case, that's what I needed at the time. So it really worked for me when I saw that. I thought when it was happening that there was actually demons coming out of me. I thought I was being exorcised and there was all these really horrible demons coming out. And at that time, I really believed that. And that's sacred that I believed that. But now, years later, I look back and I realize what it was I was just feeling the feeling of someone taking care of me and someone listening and talking and spending time with me and holding my hand and looking in my eyes and telling me it's okay and that they're there for me, and they'll talk about all the dumb things and the stuff that no one else will talk about. And that's why I got a shaman, and that was perfect, but it was still about me. And I needed to see something. So it wasn't about the dark energies. It wasn't about demons inside of me. It was just that I needed to feel good about what was happening in the moment. That is where I started my journey in understanding that I create my reality. If you don't believe me, and I know that people get really stuck to fear, and I know there's so much evidence, but if you don't believe me, do a test, just a test, to see how much are you willing to change your mind? How much are you willing to change your belief system? How much are you willing to not believe in fear? How much are you willing to stand up and say, I do not need to feel bad anymore? How much are you willing to do that? Take everybody out of the equation. Take everyone out of the equation, because it's not about anyone else. It is just about you. And you know that. Of course you know that. It's just you all the time, day in and day out. But if you're bored and lonely, you're going to create dramatics, right? You're going to create storylines that are juicy. You're going to build a fortress around it. You'll build temples. You'll build streets and cities. Yeah, you will. And then you'll be the god and goddess of that city. You will live there and you will lord over and reign over this city you created that everybody did it wrong, blame everything and everyone, and you have a reason to hide, and you have a reason to be mad, and you have a reason to be a victim, and you have every right to have fear, and you have every right to feel bad. And it's your party, and you're going to play it how you want to, and no one's going to stop you. So be it, brothers and sisters. So be it. If that's what you want to do, hard talk here, yeah, but real. If that's what you want to do, then you have to go through that experience, don't you? You know what's going to end up happening at the end of it? You'll eventually get tired. The stubborn ones don't get tired. They'll take it to their grave. Trust me on that one. And you know plenty of them that have done that. But there's some people, especially lately, who are waking up, who are like, wait a minute, I don't want to carry this storyline anymore. I'm tired of this storyline. I don't want to feel bad anymore. I don't want to be scared anymore. I don't want to be looking over my shoulder all the time thinking that there's dark energies at any minute going to jump into my body. I don't want to think that there's dark aliens that are hanging out trying to come in and like hover over me and hold me down at night. I don't want to think about how my soul is going to possibly be ripped out of my body while I'm sleeping because there's a UFO over my head. I don't want to think about reptilians are in the water supply and in the money system. I don't want to think about all that. Okay, then don't. There's many stories going on the planet. Do you need to think and believe them all? Do you need to think about them all the time? Do you believe in every single religion, every single sentence written on every single document about every single religion? Have you and will you be willing to believe every word of all the religions? You know, there's things you're not going to like in some of the religions. So it's the same thing with esoteric teachings. It's the same thing with other levels of creation that are outside of religion. Are you going to believe every single thing? Now, let me break that down. Am I saying that I don't believe in reptilians? No, I'm not saying that at all. I actually do believe in reptilians. But do I believe I have to be subjected to the conversation? Do I have to be subjected? Is it that I'm putting my head in the sand? No, I'll tell you all about the Illuminati. I'll tell you all about the gold stuff that's going on in China and the Rockefellers. I'll talk to you till the day turns to night. I will tell you what you need to know. Okay? What am I going to get out of it? What am I going to get out of it? So I put myself in a cage. I get scared. I get sad. I get mad. What do I prove? And for who? And who benefits? And who's the one that at the end of the day has to live with this story? So what? So what? All of the scary stories. This woman sent me a post she wanted me to post on my Facebook group. And it was like 100 points of references of source material with links that she wanted me to post. A bunch of it was the scary stuff of what's happening on the planet, that we need to keep our eyes open, sister. You better know what's going on out there. I already know what's going on out there. Why do I have to be so dramatic about it? Why do I have to take it home and eat it for dinner and go to sleep with it in my belly? Why do I need to wash my hair and my face with it? Why do I need to ingest every morsel of what is being said on the planet? Since when did anyone say that you have to eat and digest every single morsel of every single thing that is said on the planet? Who made the rule, the golden rule, that you are supposed to eat and digest every single thing that you see and hear on the planet? Who made this rule up? Because guess what? It's not true. And if it is a brainwashing tactic, so be it. Now, guess what? You're not brainwashed. If you just heard and understood logically what I just said, there, your brainwash is over. Am I sounding sarcastic with you? I'm sorry if I come across that way. But the reason I'm so emphatic is because, as you know, this area, this topic is not an easy one. It's not a lighthearted one. It's not one that you can just prance around in and show pretty pictures and links and pictures of aliens and all that. No, this is an actual real life, everyday occurrence for people, especially if you're watching and it's you, where you're scared. You're scared all the time. You're scared of everything. You're scared of everyone. You don't know which end is up. That's okay. It's okay to be afraid at that juncture when you're making these decisions. What's not okay is if you make a career out of it. What's not okay is if you go to sleep every night with it and you wake up every day with it and you wash and cleanse your body and your heart and your soul and your brain with it and your children with it and everyone around you with it. That's not okay. Why? Because it ruins your quality of life. Isn't your quality of life worth something to you? This is where it's all at. When you honor and respect yourself as a being and humanity to whatever extent, enough so that you do not want to hurt and constantly be tearing yourself down, because in turn you are essentially tearing down others around you. It's a lack of care and concern. Now, if you do that in an environment where there's healers and shamans around you, then you're okay, because we can handle it and help you and take care of you. If you're in a household where there's not shamans and teachers and healers around you, you literally are feeding the beast. Your beast, their beast. What's the beast? Fear. That's right. You are feeding the beast fear. And what comes out of that? Everything you can imagine, every haunted manifestation that you can think of. And there your storyline gets to live, and you get to come out and you get to say, see, I have a scary life with scary things and scary people and scary concepts, and there's scary news and there's scary things happening, and everybody's scary, and Oriah's scary and she's talking scary, and I hate her hat. That's scary. I'm scared to be sitting here looking at a YouTube video because I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm scared of that too. Oh, by the way, I might die tomorrow and the world's coming to an end and I don't know what else to do. If you can live like that, then continue on and enjoy. Please don't bring it around other people. But if you can't live like that, this is your chance. It's so easy. You don't have to look to anyone. How many thousands of books do you need to get? How many freaking books off the bookshelves do you need to convince yourself you're tired of being scared? It's a choice. It's a minute of your life that can change your life forever. All you say is, do I care anymore about this? Because if you keep caring about fear and what scares you and dark energies and dark entities and demon possession and the Vatican and all the things that are happening and all the violence towards humans and children and animals, and it's so bad. Am I being callous or am I being real? Because let me tell you something. I can know everything about the planet. It doesn't mean I have to consume it. It doesn't mean I have to breathe it in, Take it in, soak it in. Yeah, I'm an empath. That's why I'm telling you this. Empaths, hello, you have to hear this information. Empaths especially have to hear this information. 10 years of being a shaman with thousands of people have taught me this, plus my own 25 years of hell. You have to pay attention. Every second of your life counts. You don't know how long your lifespan is. You don't know when you're ready to leave this planet. And on which note would you like to leave? Would you like to leave a legacy behind you? Would you like to leave, she tried, he tried? Would you like to leave a legacy behind you that she lived every moment out loud and loved every minute of it? He did everything he wanted to do. He was happy with everything he was doing in his life. If you want to care about something, care about yourself. Because you know what happens when you care about yourself? You care about others. And you want to know what happens if you're not caring for yourself? You don't care for others. So you can look really happy and pretty and say blessings and bless you and this and that. But if you are not honest and you are not being good to yourself, it'll seep out of you. And it will be felt, especially by very sensitive people like children and healers and important people in your life that you want them to feel good around you. They're going to feel the stench of anger, the stench of fear. And they're going to feel that you are in this drama, right? This escapade with yourself, and no one can be in there to play with you. And then you get more mad because no one's in there with you. And you're isolated and you're lonely because you created a horrible environment for people to be around you. Why would anybody want to be around you if you're feeling all the time like that? So that's why you have to care for yourself first in order to care for others. So it's very clear to people when you're in your own self-dramatic purging of hell and you're ripping yourself open all the time with how angry you are, you know what the message is to the world, right? That you don't care about anybody but yourself in that way. That you are not caring. You don't care what others think. You don't care how miserable they are around you. So that just tells you that you want to be alone. So you create the isolation. You create the isolation. You create it, you live in it, you recreate it with the people around you. They give you feedback to show you what you're doing. Then you get to be right. Then you get angry. Then you blame them again. Then you push them away again. Then they don't want to be around you again. Then you get to be right. Self-masochistic. Imagine yourself just stabbing yourself every day. That's what you're doing. You know, it's not the popular topic. It's not the popular topic. This is not the popular topic. This isn't the one that everybody wants to hear. But if you're going to ask me questions about dark energy, I'm going to talk to you about dark energy. I'm going to talk to you about dark energy. Where do you think it comes from? And let's be very crystal clear. Dark energy is also in the womb. You have a dark womb, right? And the baby is in the womb in darkness. So creation comes from darkness, okay? The whole solar system is dark, okay? So creation comes from darkness. When you're healing and you're in injury and you're in the ER, you're internal, it's in darkness. You heal in darkness. There's nothing wrong with darkness, okay? But the terminology, the way it's being used when people say dark energy, dark entities, scary demons, scary attachments, when you hear that, what you have to remember is it's not creation darkness. You're attributing it to a negative vibration. So be clear. Now, let's review for a second because I went in a little hard on you guys, right? I had to. Somebody has to. So I want you to think about where you fall in line in this conversation. You may not be across the board with what I'm describing. You might be just one little portion of what I'm saying, which is great. There's some of you that are being told right now for the first time. This is the big conversation that you're getting told for the first time. Or I could be saying this to you for the millionth time. Your whole life, people have been telling you this, and you're not listening to anyone. So now you have a stranger on a YouTube channel talking to you through the camera and telling you the same thing. So how do you want to hear this? Here's your exercise. Here's where it comes into play. How do you want to hear this conversation? Do you want to hear it with love? Do you want to hear it that I'm angry? Do you want to hear it that I'm ridiculing you? Do you want to hear that I'm making fun of you? Do you want to hear that I'm pushing you while you're down, creating more of a victim experience? Is that what you want to hear? Does that feed something? Do you feel good hearing it that way? Is that what I'm doing? Have you considered maybe I'm not doing that at all? Think about it. What about if the people in your life have been trying to love on you? What about if they need your love? What about if I'm showing you and sharing with you how to love yourself? What about if I have to cut through the layers of bedrock to get to you? And maybe this is what it sounds like when you see a rescue team, EMT worker, coming through the rubble to get to you. Why do you matter? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Who can give you the proper answer? Is there anyone? Is there anyone on the planet? Can aliens land and come out and walk over to your room and tell you why you matter? Is there any storyline that you could read that will encourage you? Any story, any movie, any book, any source of information, anywhere, any religion, any writing in the sky, signs? Is there anything that can tell you and convince you why you matter? I'll answer for you. No. No one and nothing can tell you but you. Now, here's where you meet your God. You either decide yes for yourself now, or guess what? You go back to blaming. You're not going to give it to yourself. No water for you. No, we're going to continue the starvation. You're going to stay in your room isolated and you're going to hide. You're not done being scared and being a victim, and you're going to be in trouble. Now you're going to go blame all those people. Meanwhile, you're not going to come out because those people are to blame. They're really bad. And by the way, the grievances of the people that you're mad at probably did really, really horrific things in a really big way. Do you not think that that is not God also? Do you not think we're all coming from the same oneness? Do you not think this is all a part of creation? Do you think something is outside of creation, outside of God, outside of intelligence? Sure, there's different levels. Sure, there's different vibrations. Of course there are. Not every animal is the same. Not every plant's the same. Not every insect's the same. Not every human is the same. Not every alien is the same. You are the deciding factor. If you want to get angry, it's for you. If you want to listen, it's for you. If you want to open your heart, it's for you. If you want to throw yourself on the floor in gratitude that you made it to this point and you finally heard something, that is for you. If you want to experience more, that is for you. If you want less pain, that is for you. If you don't want to deal with dark energies and demons and reptilians and scary things that make you jump at night or freak you out or make you paralyzed in the middle of the night, that's for you. This conversation I'm having with you works very well here on the earth plane, but guess what? It also works in the dream state, and it also works interstellar, interdimensional. It also works in other dimensions. If you think something's bothering you, then go face it and ask it why. If you even get an answer, because the answer you're going to get is the one you give. I hope you hear this message with love. This was supposed to be a 2-part series, but I think I got it all into 1 part. I don't want to leave you. I don't want to stop this recording. I want to stay with you. I want to hold your hand and sit with you and talk with you. Just know that I am. Just know there's many of us where I come from. Just know my hand is on you. Just know I'm holding you. Just know that it's okay. If you are triggered, ask yourself why. If you're triggered because you didn't like the way it was delivered, then you have to find someone else. And then see if they're not going to trigger you. and then find someone else and find someone else, and then go to Africa, and then go to India, and then go to Bangladesh, and then go to Alaska, and go everywhere to see if somebody's not going to trigger you, and see if that works. See if that works. Or is it you? Is it you? Has it been you all along? This is not the popular topic where I get a lot of friends, but it's the topic that needs to be spoken about. If you want to be set free in every way, but if you definitely want to be set free in your pain and suffering and fear and your separation stories and your compartmentalizations and your comparisons and your anger and your blame, if you want to be set free, then just give yourself freedom to be. Freedom to be. Just be. Start there. Just start there. You fill in the blanks. If you're love, say you're love. Say whatever you want, but make sure whatever you say is worth it, because you're worth it. You're worth it. And it's not just on an advertisement on the side of a bus for a freaking makeup lipstick or something. That's not what that means. It's not worth it in parentheses because others told you, or but my parents didn't tell me. It's not that kind of worth it. It's the kind of worth it that you're worth it for yourself, that it's worth it, you're worth it, life is worth it. Together as one, you are in there with yourself, having an experience, and that is worth it. You're worth it to have an experience that's worth it. Blessings.